Welcome to my channel where we discuss everything and all things politics, economy, and development in Nigeria and around the world. The Central Bank of Nigeria has claimed that 8 banks has failed stress tests. As a result of this, they say that banks have to recapitalize. However, a top official in the banking industry has alleged that this is a ploy by the Tinubu administration to take over some banks that could not be able to recapitalize. Now, this official is alleging that this is a ploy to take over some banks, recapture them, and change their ownership so that it will be owned now by some top officials in the Tinubu administration. This matter is arising based on the revelation by the Central Bank of Nigeria that 8 banks failed stress test on foreign operation. Remember, recently, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu claimed that 8 commercial banks have fallen short of the capital adequacy ratio, CAR, required for international authorization. Now, this claim by the Central Bank of Nigeria, as I said earlier, has been described as a ploy by the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take over some banks in the country that they assume will not be able to meet up with this recapitalization plan. If you remember, in the past, banks like Oceanic Bank and all the rest of them that were doing very well, at a point, recapitalization consumed them. That is about to play out again. And you know what happened that time? Some people used the opportunity and acquired those banks. That is a repeat of what the government is about to do, according to this top bank official. And you know, when people talk about that Tinubu should do that Tinubu will do what he had done in Lagos, he will bring the kind of development he brought in Lagos. These are probably part of the kind of development he's bringing to Abuja. So the banks now are on red alert, trying to see how they can recapitalize. But how do they recapitalize when the foreign entities have lost confidence in the Nigerian economy? So danger looms for the banks and for the economy. Now, this top bank official raised the alarm over this unfolding development. Now, according to the central bank itself, he said that it has conducted a stress test on banks in the country. He said that the banks have been, according to that, the reports, the affected banks have been put under pressure to raise their capital base to bridge the gap, which was allegedly brought about by the depreciation of the naira against the dollar and other currencies. Which, if you look at it, is not the fault of the banks. because the banks are now paying the price of the depreciation of the currency of Nigeria. Who made the currency to depreciate? Is it not Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government that started to float the naira in a poorly planned program of flotation of the naira? Now the banks have to pay the price for the floating of the naira, which now look like a strategy to strangulate the banks and then take them over, those who couldn't meet up. Because it's not the fault of the bank that the naira was depreciating or has depreciated. It was the policy of the government. It's the economic policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was the one that came up with the idea of flotation of the naira. The flotation of the naira was tried before, and it didn't last up to 2-3 months. In fact, it didn't last up to 2 months under Buhari administration and under the governorship of the central bank by MFLA. Their fingers were burnt. They drop it knowing that, look, this can't take the country anywhere. But Tinubu is insisting on going ahead with the flotation of the naira in a country that is import dependent, in a country that imports virtually 90% of what he uses, including foodstuff. You are floating the naira. This was what Buhari and the MFLA found out, and they ran away from it. You can Google it. Flotation of the naira by Tinubu is not rocket science. It's not a new idea. He didn't reinvent the wheel. It was there before, but they know that it couldn't go. But Tinubu has got ahead with it, and he's standing put. Despite the complaint by Nigerians, they are pushing ahead with it. Already now, if you look at the official rate of the Nigerian naira to the dollar, official rate is almost 900 naira now. Official rate. The new official rate. Go and check it out. The new official rate. So if the new official rate is now almost 900 naira, so what do you think will be the rate in the black market going forward? You know, as I told people before in this channel, that Bloomberg said that before Nigerian economy will begin to stabilize under this flotation they are doing, that it has to get to the point where it will be 1,500 naira to the dollar. And that will be the official rate. When it becomes 1,500 naira official rate for the naira, then you can know what it will be in the black market then. Maybe we're talking about 3,000 naira to the dollar. Go and check out the Bloomberg. They talk about it a few months back. And I brought it up in this channel, that Bloomberg is projecting that for Nigerian naira to be able to be stable, it has to get to the level of 1,500 naira to the dollar. And we are gradually getting into that. Go and check. The Central Bank of Nigeria just upped the official exchange rate. So we are heading there. Now, all these policies, the banks have to pay the price for it. The banks are paying the price for the policies of the government. And that was why many multinational companies are leaving Nigeria. JSK, Procter & Gamble, all those, they are leaving. They have left. Several other, they are left. Why these banks are still remaining in Nigeria with all this kind of program they are arranging is just because they are Nigerians that own them. Had it been they were owned by foreigners, I can tell you for free that even those that have strong foreign links, they may live in Nigeria. They may not be able to cope with the recapitalization they are talking about, and they will not want to allow Nigerians to take over the company. They will just leave the country, just as JSK left Nigeria. Because also we heard that JSK, somebody in government wanted to take over that company. The company refused to be taken over by force. They left Nigeria. Now, the story goes like this about this issue of stress. that through its 2021 guidelines, the Central Bank of Nigeria had mandated the deposit money banks to maintain a prudential CAR of 10% for national and regional banks. Those with international authorization were instructed to uphold a 15% regulatory CAR. However, the CBN report, Central Bank of Nigeria report, reportedly showed a decline in the banking system CAR, dropping to 11.2%, which is 3.0% short. According to the CBN, this is below the 15.0 threshold set for banks with international authorization. Now, according to the report, the decline in the bank CAR was attributed to a decrease in total qualifying capital relative to increased risk-weighted assets due to the Naira's depreciation following the adoption of a market-determined exchange rate policy. This reflects the challenges faced by these institutions. So it was the government that put the banks into problem. And now government is blaming them that they are incapable of standing in this. They can't be able to withstand the stress in Nigerian economy, that they have to recapitalize, which invariably means they have to go under if they can't recapitalize. According to the report, the banks were scrutinized based on their capital strengths and risk profile, a crucial measure of a bank's financial stability. The stress was conducted to assess the bank's financial health and their ability to withstand adverse economic conditions and shocks. Specifically, the test focused on the CAR, which measures the proportion of a bank's capital to its risk-weighted assets and is used to determine the bank's financial stability. It said that specifically the test focused on the CAR, which measures the proportion of a bank's capital to its risk-weighted assets and is used to determine the bank's financial stability. Because of the depreciation of the Naira, the assets of the banks have depreciated in value. You have heard it before. Some people have told you. You have heard it. You heard it that even the wealth of Africa's richest man had, because of the depreciation of the Naira, his wealth has gone down. Now, this is something is applicable to these banks as a result of the policies of the Tinubu administration and not the fault of the banks themselves. Not the fault of the banks themselves. So it's just like what is happening in the country now, where the school fees of your children have increased because of the depreciation of the Naira, where the cost of everything had gone up. Now the cost of sustaining money deposit banks also have to go up. They are paying the price of poor management of the economy by the Tinubu-led administration. According to the report we are talking about, the CAR is a regulatory requirement set by the Central Bank of Nigeria, and each bank is expected to maintain a minimum level of capital to ensure their ability to absorb potential losses. Based on the results of the stress test, it was discovered, according to the CBN, that among the affected banks with international authorization, their capital adequacy ratio was lower than the minimum regulatory requirement set by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Speaking at the dinner of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CBN Governor Olayemi Kadosa highlighted plans to introduce new capital requirements for banks. Now, Cardoso used the opportunity of a dinner by the Chartered Institute of Bankers to tell them, break this bad news to them, that look, you have to recapitalize. And he said, and I quote him, we need to ask ourselves, will Nigerian banks have sufficient capital relative to the financial system's needs in servicing a 1 trillion naira economy in the near future? Now, the idea he wants to sell is that Nigeria is heading to a $1 trillion economy. So these banks that we have now cannot be able to service that economy. Continuing, he said, in my opinion, the answer is no. It was a capital no. Unless we take action. Say the answer is no, unless we take action. Therefore, we must make difficult decisions regarding capital adequacy. Now, he's now giving the banks, you don't have no option again. When he say we must make difficult decisions regarding capital adequacy. As a first step, we will be directing banks to increase their capital. Now, this is where the problem lies. This is where this top banking official is alleging of a plot for a takeover of banks, especially those who couldn't be able to raise the new capital base that the government is talking about. These are banks that are paying the price for the deregulation of the naira or the flotation of the naira, a policy that has not yielded any positive result for Nigerians except to satisfy the foreign interests who want to see naira reduced to whatever they want it to be. These banks are to pay the price. Some of them they will not be able to meet up. They have not set the target they want to put for them, but it is going to be pretty difficult for so many of them, especially those who need foreign funding to be able to meet up. Of course, they may decide to sell shares to the public. Are the public really interested to do that right now? Those who bought public shares in those days, what is the value of those shares today? Are Nigerians ready to do that? And do they have foreign people who come and put money into Nigerian banks to help raise the bar or the base, the capital base of these banks? And you know the implications. People are going to lose their jobs. The banks that could not be able to meet the targets are likely to go under. Because even when the new people acquire these banks, when they acquire it, these new people may not immediately be in the market. It may take a while. So you can see how just one policy of a government is ruining livelihoods, investments of Nigerians, including the banking sector. Now the banking sector has been put on notice that you either recapitalize or you go under. That is what the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is telling them. And when they go under, who are the people that are going to acquire them? Those who couldn't meet up will be bought over. At the end of the day, it's all boiled down to what many people have said will happen. State capture of Nigeria. That after the capture of Lagos, the next thing was to capture the nation. And that is what we are in the process of. That's what we are witnessing now in this country. But there's little anyone can do now except to wait out and see what happens in the next 4 years. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours. And also don't forget, under this video, there are links that will take you to Jumia. Any phone that you bought through the links under this video, Jumia is going to give you 40% off from their normal price because you bought through this link. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.